Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, those massive half-pound Wagyu burgers, even the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had. Mercy, are they good. Probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner, 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, the big super applause for UppercutChops.com. And welcome in, everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, independent cable affiliates. Thanks for tuning in into select markets, plus Hotel TV where applicable. Also on Facebook, Chicago Food Favorites. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. A fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And by the way, our friends over at Vacation Buddies are giving away a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to this very simple trivia question. Which of these Major League Baseball teams had the famous baseball player Reggie Jackson? Was it the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Oakland A's, the San Francisco Giants, or the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777. 888-576-5777. 888-576-5777. And, of course, Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to have you travel and pick up a couple of nights in Orlando, Branson, or fabulous Las Vegas. 888-576-5777. Call now. Let's round of applause for them. All right. Let's think about this for a minute, folks. Let's think about something. Now, I don't know about you, but I have a real problem with delays in games, with instant replays, and all kinds of crap like that. And you ask yourself, where are we going with the idea of professional training for officiating? Now, I don't know about you, but I personally would imagine that if you are at the top of a game, if you are officiating at the top level, that you have a certain degree of professionalism, which they all do, I believe. But also, why would you want that questioned by instant replay? Sure, there are problems with instant replay and the officiating. So think about this: excessive game delays, interrupted game flow, limited scope of reviewable plays. Well, this doesn't qualify, but this qualifies. And potential for, of course, those controversial scrapped rules like pass interference reviews and all this other crap. I mean, look, the way replay undermines the game and the human element is an abomination, to say the least. And frankly, the human error part of it, yes, I understand games certainly can be compromised, which we have seen our share of those, allegedly. We ask ourselves, is replay really necessary? Is replay helping the game? Maybe you say, well, it's getting the game right. But then again, what about all those bettors out there? The bettors are saying, well, sure, you're using a replay. However, the interpretation of the replay is wrong. There's always human error somewhere. And in baseball, they get it right and fair or foul. I get that. Sometimes in tags at, for example, home plate, you'll get it right. Most of the time, they'll get it right. Instant replay will jump in there and say, okay, well, here, let me give you a better view. Okay, that's fine. I get all that. And the neighborhood call in baseball has been lost. It's a lost art. That's gone. What about penalties in football? I mean, penalties in football, if there should ever be instant replay on something, I think penalties, because those are rather egregious in my opinion, when we look at the penalties that are called, you scratch your head and say, wait a minute, how the hell did that happen? I don't even know. Nobody even called that. Apparently there was a roughing the passer call when the quarterback had just released a ball and maybe the defensive lineman was a half a step in front of him. And then there's no way the defensive lineman or the defense, period, can stop their momentum. What are you supposed to do? How does that happen? I don't even know. So really, instant replay has a real problem, especially in football, because what they're not doing, in my opinion, they are not using it for penalties. And, oh yeah, we'll have a meeting and we'll just pick up a flag. And we saw that in a recent football game, and it was between Notre Dame and another club. So apparently a penalty flag was thrown on a kickoff, and then magically, somehow, there was no foul on the play because there was a long touchdown run. And so I guess my question is, what was the rationale to pick up the flag? I would like an instant replay that's based off of why a flag was picked up, and let's show the audience what actually happened. Now, that's something we never hear about. We never hear about stuff like that. How about the terrible no calls? Well, hey, we feel that there was a penalty here. Our guy was hit. He was interfered with, and there was not a call. The referee swallowed his whistle, and the flag got stuck in his pants or whatever, and it didn't come out because there's a beanbag holding it in place. I guess my point is, how come we can't challenge no calls? Now, I think if there was ever a purpose for instant replays, I think that's where a lot of people would have a real say in this. And let's face it, maybe you get a couple of these a game. You're not going to be able to do it on every play, but you get a couple, and this sort of kind of makes it right. Like in baseball, there are changes, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. But I think football has so many opportunities for bad calls where the instant replay still doesn't help because, well, this cannot be reviewed and all this other nonsense. A penalty can't be reviewed. Well, a no call can't be reviewed. None of this stuff can be reviewed. The stuff that people don't want reviewed can be reviewed. Now, we see that even in hockey. It's the same thing. And sometimes, as a matter of fact, I just got word of this not too terribly long ago, that there was a case where there was an instant replay call or a no goal was called on a goal, and that was in a Blackhawks game. And somehow, magically, none of the referees, because there was a couple of them, wanted to go out on the ice and make the call. So they actually had to flip a coin to see who was going to go out and hear the music, basically the very unhappy audience. And so this is the kind of thing that an instant replay doesn't help. And I think if the officials know that there's something wrong, if the league commissioners knows there's something wrong, generally speaking, in the four major food groups of sports, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, I think the one that gets us the closest is probably hockey. And I'm no fan of Gary Bettman. However, I must say in the last 20 years, I mean, he's done a hell of a lot better outside of the fact that there was a strike and a whole season lost. I would say overall, he's been the best commissioner out of the four in the last decade. I think the worst has been Rob Manfred. Actually, I'd say that's a real close second would be Adam Silver. And you ask yourself, well, what are we really after here? I mean, let's face it, Roger Goodell just, in my opinion, is just paid to stay out of the way. A whole bunch of money every year, 50, 60, $80 million, whatever the heck it is. I don't know. But the bigger question is, what is the real use? And we know what the problems are. And look, we have a problem with game flow and length, excessive delays and interrupted flow, and limited scope of changing rules too. What is reviewable, like I mentioned? How about the scrapped rules? What about the impact on officials and the game's spirit. You know, people don't talk about that. Look, undermine officials. Hey, replays can make it seem as though on-field officials are incompetent, as their decisions are constantly subject to review and potential reversals. And what about erosion or imperfections? So sports has its inherent human imperfections, including occasional ref errors, which contribute to the drama and entertainment of the game. Remember, it's for entertainment purposes only, and replay shifts the focus from the game to a technical correction of these mistakes, removing some of the sport's appeal in the first place. And of course, then we have the controversies generated by a replay, right? Technical versus intent. And replays can lead to incredibly technical interpretations of rules, sometimes leading to correct calls that feel inappropriate to the spirit of the game in the first place. And what about the incorrect reviews? So despite the access to multiple cameras and angles and slow motions, and officials can still make incorrect decisions during the review process, leading to further controversy. Folks, at some point, there needs to be an end. I mean, to what end are we taking this? There is none. There are no ending points in this whole argument. So the bigger question is, are instant replays good for sports or are they not? And let's face it, we're going to take a better look at some of these other issues, maybe even basketball, and we're definitely going to shift to baseball coming up here. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come on the Sports Circus.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, this segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. Check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our affiliates, including our friends over in Atlanta. Thanks for waking up with us. WDJY 99.1 FM. All the way down in, well, we'll go down to Auburn, Alabama, not too terribly far away from Atlanta, Georgia, home of the Atlanta Braves. WAUD from Montgomery, Alabama, all the way over to Columbus, Georgia. Thanks for joining us on your drive home, up and down the Midwest, and out to the West Coast for everybody driving up and down Interstate 15 between sunny Southern California and fabulous Las Vegas, listening in on Highway Country Radio, 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. Thanks for joining us on home of the Vegas Golden Knights and the Raiders. And, of course, a big welcome in everybody up and down the West Coast, up to Seattle, down to Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the Yankees, 49ers, and Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus everybody else watching on television, where applicable, everybody streaming on Pick Your Favorite Streamer, as well as on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Thanks for joining us there. Chicago Food Favorites, a fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes, make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. Oh, by the way, if you're just tuning in at the top of the show, there was a giveaway for Vacation Buddies, giving away a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida, if you knew the answer to a very simple trivia question. If you're just tuning in, here is the question. Let's see if you know the answer. Which of these four teams was the home of Reginald Martinez Jackson, Reggie Jackson? Was it the LA Dodgers, B, the San Diego Padres, C, the Oakland A's, or D, the San Francisco Giants? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in Branson, Orlando, or Las Vegas. Call them right now if you know the answer. 888-576-5777. All right, back to this rule nonsense here, and the instant replay rules, that is. And the idea, of instant replay itself is just not a good one. It really isn't, because you see, at the end of the day, there are issues, whether you're a bettor, whether you're just a fan, watcher, or whatever it is. I mean, what's the point of having all this instant replay technology and booth reviews monitoring every game if it's completely dependent on a handful of inherently imperfect humans trying to keep up with a very fast and chaotic game? I mean, that's a position from football. Think about that. And so you ask yourself, does there really need to be a system to identify missed calls, even if accumulated, enough of them? I mean, how about just bumping the ref down maybe from pro football to college football, down to high school football, down to Pop Warner or something like that? I mean, let's face it, there needs to be some kind of a reward system, but then again, there needs to be other accountability that, let's face it, sometimes referees can be embroiled in controversy. Think back to Tim Donaghy. We had Tim Donaghy on this show. We liked Tim. But Tim was involved in a game-fixing scheme, and he went to prison, I think, for about 13 or 14 months regarding it. He talked about it on this show. And let's face it, players can get compromised. Well, referees can be compromised as well. And so he was living proof of that. So you say, well, even if there is some kind of accountability, well, the accountability has to have some legal accountability as well. I mean, you could just take money away, but remember, if there's some compromising going on, therefore, what would happen? Well, the fines or whatever could be paid by the unknown party, if you know what I mean. So maybe there was a fine of $10,000 handed down from the league or this, that, and the other. Well, maybe another party could have paid him $100,000 to make a particular call, so he still nets $90,000 in that. And so he gets demoted, then eventually it's brought right back up, whatever, kind of like a minor league system for referees and whatnot. I guess what I'm trying to say with this is, where does it end? We don't have a whole lot of accountability. And there is a grading system. Yeah, and the grading system works in Major League Baseball. Here's how it works, is a umpire has to have a 93% score of getting the calls right. Okay, so how are the games fixed? How are the games compromised, in my opinion? Well, I'll tell you how they're fixed or compromised, in my opinion. Well, it occurs to me that maybe you might have a string of 20 or 30 calls in a row. And maybe you've banked up maybe 2 calls out of your 30 in a row. Maybe you've got, you've got room for 2 bad calls. They could come at inopportune times. Still keep the referee within the 93% correct. So, I mean, last I checked, I don't know, I don't know the exact numbers on it here, but when we look at, let's say 2 divided by 30, well, guess what? That's still, if you get 2 wrong out of 30, that still keeps you at about 94%. Well, sounds like that's still above 93% to me. So those calls can come at very inopportune times for certain teams, or those real high leverage times. That's a real fancy schmancy phrase that people use nowadays. But let's just say at critical times of games, when certain things could go wrong and where bettors could take advantage or lose money on situations. So when we think about what is the percentages, well, the percentage of getting the calls right, I don't know. How about the UFL, formerly the XFL? Unironically, does a better job at correcting wrong referee calls. Now, that was a pretty good thought. I mean, think about the way they did it. And remember, they also put their calls, their people, they put them on notice. They said, well, shoot, let's go ahead and let's let the public hear what we're talking about. And that's what we don't hear in football, baseball, basketball, hockey today. So the grading system, yeah, it may point some things out, but you have to ask yourself, well, yeah, Tom Brady apparently used to get some calls. So did Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, whatever. And you ask yourself, does Joe Burrow? Does Josh Allen? Does Lamar Jackson? I think Jackson does. But let's face it, there are many, many, many game-changing penalties that the Chiefs have gotten in their favor. In fact, it was funny because even the vice president came out and said, hey, we don't want that kind of nonsense going on in the NFL. And of course, him being a Bengals fan, well, you can understand why, if you know what I mean. But reality is, there are a lot of issues with all of these calls. And so you say, well, is there an end to it? I don't know. Let's take a quick look at college basketball. This is according to the New York Times. They say college basketball will fix its replay review woes. That's right. It will fix its review woes if the coaches don't screw it up. That's right. You could boo and laugh at the same time on that one. And they say, fittingly, the last men's college basketball that we saw before the NCAA tournament, before the bracket, it graced the screen, and it was the end of, I guess, a Michigan and Wisconsin game, Big Ten tournament. Needless to say, grinding, painful. It was one of those awful kind of games. out of bounds call review, out of bounds call review, out of bounds call review. One of them was such an obvious call that it didn't need to be reviewed, but that's what college hoops officials do now. They review everything. And by the way, their guide, that's their guidance, not their preference. So the result is damage to a product that doesn't need it. It took 15 minutes for the final 77 seconds of Michigan and Wisconsin to expire in that particular game. That's crazy. And remember, that's just way too much college basketball for now. And it's too much of the discussion. The NCAA tournament should be pure joy from the bracket unveiling to the final snip of the net. But if you're like me, you've thought about this event and longer amounts of times. TV timeouts, how about those? 30 seconds apiece. Longer halftime, 5-minute halftimes, and the impact on games that at times already seems ridiculous. And so how about this? SEC Associate Commissioner Garth Glissman said, quote, "If you're constantly chasing increases in officiating accuracy through instant replay, then you have the potential to seriously undermine the core fabric of your game," close quote. That is a profound statement. I'm good with that. That is really good because that really says what it has to say. And so take heart in this. Change should be coming, I guess, in coming up seasons in the form of a challenge system that looks like the NBA's, as long as the NCAA rule makers realize that solution proposed by Glissman and the SEC is easily the best available. And as long as coaches don't rally too much opposition because they think too many calls will end up wrong, these are the issues at hand. Tell you what, folks, we're going to be back here with baseball. Boy, we got a lot to talk about there. Don't go anywhere. You're going to like this one or not.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors Others who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven, gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number.
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our partners. Of course, on the partners page, lots of great partners over there. And one of those is our favorite. It's Al's number one Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. If you can't make it over to 1079 West Taylor Street for some great food in Chicago, well, guess what? You can go to alsbeef.com and read all about all their offerings, and you can read about the history of the famous Italian beef sandwich that was created 117 years ago. It is one of those things, you got to have it, folks. Don't compare it to that awful Philly cheesesteak sandwich. That's a fried sandwich versus real cooking. That's what the Italian beef sandwich is, and boy, is it good. You won't be sorry. Check it out, alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com, and tell them the circus sent you. Yes! All right. Welcome back to everybody. TV and radio, you know who you are. So, in the first couple segments, there's an officiating problem with instant replay and all this other nonsense. We already know about this. But here's where things get a little bit dicey. How about the automatic balls and strikes in baseball? There's a challenge system coming to a field near you. That's right. Coming to a field near you. Upon further review, according to MajorLeagueBaseball.com, upon further review, the ABS challenge system has been confirmed for next season. And of course, that always has an astounding round of boos. We don't like this. We don't like it. And the Joint Competition Committee voted to bring the automatic balls and strikes challenge system powered by a particular cell company that we're not going to plug because they don't pay us anything, if you know what I mean. Now, once you decide to pay us, then maybe we'll say your name. But in the meantime, show me the money! That's right. In the meantime, you're just an organization to be named later, like the player to be named later. And of course, they're bringing that to the big leagues following several years of experimental nonsense in the minor league baseball system and in spring training games, and in the All-Star game, and all this other crap. And of course, Major League Baseball Commissioner, and every time we say his name, that's right. This is what happens because I believe he has, in my opinion, he is wrecking the game of baseball. So that guy, Rob Manfred, said in a statement, quote, the previous rule changes that have been adopted by the Joint Competition Committee have had staying power and created momentum for the game. We used the same process with ABS that started with listening to fans, conducting extensive testing at the minor league level, and trying at every step to make the game better. Throughout this process, we have worked on deploying the system in a way that's acceptable to players. The strong preference from players for the challenge format, overusing the technology to call every pitch, was a key factor in determining the system we are announcing today. Close quote. So, considered a middle ground between so-called robo-umps that could call every ball and strike and the long-standing tradition of the natural human error that comes with human umps. The automatic balls and strikes challenge system gives team the opportunity to request a quick review of some of the most important ball strike calls in a given game. Now, last I checked, every ball and strike call is important in a given game, not just some arbitrarily nonsensical ridiculousness of a statement. And of course, here's the part that a lot of people don't know about. I'm talking about tech for a second. The ABS challenge system runs on a 5G private network. Now, do you understand the risks of a 5G network in the first place, folks? Now, my understanding of this may be a little bit different of yours. And of course, this is just for entertainment purposes. I'm not advocating anything other than my opinion on this, which I'm absolutely entitled to. But the tech, the radio frequency, the wireless 5G technology, it's already bad enough that it was 4G, 3G, 2G, 1G, or whatever. The reality is every time they go up a G, we'll keep it on a very 100,000 foot level. Every time they go up, the bandwidth gets tighter. The technology gets faster. The technology gets more robust. The signal gets stronger. The radio frequency is stronger and the damage to humans is stronger. Now, if you don't know anything about this, folks, I would encourage you just to do a little bit of reading and understanding from a scholarly journal that will give you the risks of radio frequency. Never mind the game. How about the constant risk to the crowd with having that 5G signal in there? Now, folks, if you don't know about this, you may want to read about this because it is incredibly dangerous. And there's a lot of money, as I understand, that has been spent in lobby dollars to make the risks of radio frequency sort of disappear. Now, one of my friends, all the way back from college, way back in the day, all the way through today's time, what does he do? He is an expert on radio frequency, and he studies cancer and the effects of radio frequency on how it creates cancer within people. So it's cancer research on cell technology. That's what he did. Now, I can tell you, the information that was shared to me was startling. Now, I too built out wireless networks many, many, many years ago. I kept up with the technology, and I've seen it go all the way from 800 megahertz all the way up to 5G, just like you. And you may remember those old Nextel phones and stuff like that with the two-way radios transmitting on the 820 megahertz to 856 megahertz, all the way up through cellular paging technology through the 900 megahertz, and all the way up to today's time with 5G. Folks, it is remarkably dangerous. Never mind the fact that all this technology is being thrown in these games. But I can assure you that this is, in my opinion, unsafe for the players, for the fans, for the referees. It's just not safe. First of all, that 5G technology, it makes the game experience better, da-da-da-da-da. You know, the owners don't seem to carry any liability last I checked on this. Maybe I could be wrong on this. But what about the liability for the season ticket holders, the people that are there every game? Let's say in baseball, for example, you're there 81 games a year. Well, that's a lot of radio frequency going into you, and you're participating with that 5G signal all around you because it's already there. It's sort of like having an intranet or having it geofenced. So understanding geofence, that's a whole nother issue that we don't even have time to talk about. So look, first of all, it's dangerous to everybody there. So you think about this. Through Major League Baseball's had various iterations of video replay going back to this whole ABS thing. I just think it's wrong. This goes back about 17 years or so. And it's going to be the first instance within the championship season at the game's highest level in which home plate umpires' ball strikes calls will not be ironclad. I think that completely discredits the officials in the first place, the umpire. So, of course, they say with a certain technology running in the background and monitoring the exact location of each pitch relative to the batter's zone, players can request a challenge of a ball or strike if they feel the umpire got it wrong. So how about this? Are there chips in the baseballs? How are they tracking it so perfectly? Think about that one. We'll get back to that. When a call is challenged, that particular hawk eye view is then transmitted over that 5G private network and nearly instantaneously shows to those in the attendance via the video board and the home viewers via broadcast. The ball strike call is either confirmed or overturned, and the game goes on having only been briefly interrupted, according to MajorLeagueBaseball.com. Now, also, Mike Katz, president of marketing and strategy of that particular wireless company, says, quote, "We've accomplished a lot through our longstanding partnership with Major League Baseball, and the rollout of ABS powered by them is one of their most exciting milestones yet. It's a powerful example of how we're using our technology to help Major League Baseball innovate while preserving the character of the game we love, and it's only possible with the scale and reliability of this particular network." Okay, so I'm not going to quote that one. Never mind the close quotes, open quotes, and all this other crap, because I'm not going to mention their name. No, you're not preserving the character of the game because the character is within the actual umpires and referees in the first place. And let's face it, how many challenges does each team get? Okay, so you get a couple of them. Do the teams get an extra challenge in extra innings? Well, if a game goes into extras, any teams that start the extra out without a challenge will get one for the 10th. If they exhaust that, they will get another for the 11th, and so on. The whole thing seems like a dumpster fire to me. I have a better word that I can't really say on here. But anyway, back here with more of this nonsense on the Sports Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Stop it! Why isn't this an awkward moment? Stop it!
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Excellent.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP Television. And of course, welcome back to everybody watching on TV, listening in on the radio, everybody streaming on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, you name it, we're there. You can't get away from us. Everybody also on Facebook on Chicago Food Favorites. Thanks for joining us there. And plus, folks, a shameless plug for the circus. Head on over to the store at thesportscircus.com. There's a tab right across the top that says store. Check out our clever logo on hats, hoodies, t-shirts, pants, coats, mouse pads, travel mugs, coffee mugs, pillows, you name it, it's there. A shameless plug, of course, for the circus. We have bills to pay like everybody else, but I got to tell you, folks, good embroidered shirts. I have one of our embroidered shirts on today. I got to tell you, folks, it is really, really cool. Nice collared shirt, multicolored. This one's black, and it has a cool logo on the shoulder as well as in the upper left of the shirt itself. Really good stuff, folks. Check it out, the sportscircus.com store. And that, of course, is for the Sports Circus. Of course, we get the super applause, unlike Major League Baseball. Yeah. That's how we feel about that. Not good, folks. Not good. Why is it not good? Talking about automatic balls and strikes called in Major League Baseball. That in itself, in my opinion, is awful. And frankly, it is yet another stake in the heart of Major League Baseball and its fans. So, how many challenges each game will a team get? I mentioned two apiece. Extra innings. Seemingly, the teams will get one per inning for every extra inning, which is crazy because if you get 2 for 9, then why wouldn't you get basically just 1 for extra innings, period? Seeing that Rob Manfred has changed the rule on extra innings now. It's like a Little League game. You start with a ghost runner on second. Whoever made the previous out, somehow they're rewarded and they get to be the runner on base to score the winning run or potential winning run, which makes no sense whatsoever. I would imagine it would go to somebody else, not the last person who made an out. I just think that's a terrible rule. Remember, the bases are bigger. There's a pitch clock now. Only a certain amount of moves to a base to try to pick off a runner. I mean, look, this is what Rob Manfred has done, folks. He, in my opinion, is destroying Major League Baseball and just baseball as we know it. Turning it into a Little League game. Oh, everybody's so sensitive on, I got to get home and I got to go do this. And what the hell are you doing at the baseball game in the first place if you're worried about time? People used to just leave early if they had to. Not, well, we have to speed the game up. Well, they say we have to speed the game up and now you get instant replays and this, that, and the other, which actually makes the games even longer. Now you're talking about using this automatic balls and strikes. So instantly it can do this, that, and the other. Maybe you could tell if it's a strike in their stupid K zone or whatnot. Well, the reality is that's what the umpire's for. Why would you change that? Why would you go away from that? I grew up with baseball. I'm a purist. And what happens with the idea that, oh, well, now we're undermining the referees. We're undermining the umpires. I mean, we're undermining everybody in professional sports at this point because apparently they're not good enough. So now the question is, why even have them? That's right. I mean, will the ABS challenge system be used in every Major League Baseball game at every park? Unfortunately, yes. During the postseason? Yes. Who can issue a challenge? The batter, the pitcher, or the catcher. That's it. Only the battery, pitcher and catcher, and the hitter. That's it. Challenges must be made immediately after the umpire's call. Now, what if there's a lag in that? So let's just say, hypothetically, there's a call, and the umpire says, that's a ball outside. I mean, is there a clock? Because there's a pitch clock now. Is there an actual clock for how fast that you actually have to announce, I want to challenge that? Is it a count to 5? Is it a count to 3? Since we have a pitch clock, well, there certainly has to be a count on how fast you can challenge or not. When does that occur? Is it when the catcher returns the ball to the pitcher? Well, wait a minute. What if like a quick pitch for baseball? What if it's a quick return back to the pitcher from the catcher? So that is one of those up in the air things. We have no damn clue. What does that mean? And it says, well, they must be made immediately. Is that 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 3 seconds, a half a second? Is it a jiffy? Do you know what a jiffy is? A jiffy, if I'm not mistaken, is 1/1000th of a second. That's why they say, oh, we'll be there in a jiffy. Look that up, folks. I think it's 1,000th. Anyway, the point is, how fast? Because it says challenges must be made immediately. And how is a challenge issued? Well, the player taps his head or his helmet or his cap, whatever, to alert the umpire to desire to challenge the call. It's kind of like an illegal man downfield in football, how you'll see the umpire tapping his head, that kind of a thing. That's the signal for it. And how is the call reviewed? Well, an animated pitch result graphic is shown to those in attendance via the video chat board and to the home viewers in the broadcast. Well, how do they get that information? Okay, well, there's a tracking system, but is there a chip in the ball? That's what I want to know. Now, if there's a chip in the ball, that brings a whole nother discussion. Because let's say the baseball has been compromised. Oh, that's right. Major League Baseball owns what? Rawlings. And they make the baseballs on top of it. So now I'm asking, are there chips in the baseball? And can the chips be programmed in a way where maybe radio frequency, this 5G that they're using, is being used almost to catapult the ball further than what it typically has gone in the past? I got to tell you, folks, everything that I've seen with all the home runs that I've seen hit, I have to ask the question, have the baseballs been compromised as far as the way they've been wound? Yeah. Or what about through technology? Now, people have been asking about footballs, about having magnets in the footballs along with the receivers. Now, people say, well, why would you even say that right now? Because, look, there have been a rash of one-handed ridiculous catches that nobody could seem to explain. Even having receivers trying to get the ball out of their hands with the ball stuck to their hands. People say, well, that's the stick 'em on their gloves. Remember, there was a rule with that. You can only have so much that stick 'em in the first place. But what about the idea that the footballs are magnetized, whatever, and they can be technically, I wouldn't say glued to a receiver's hands, but what about the baseball being trajected further or catapulted by the use of radio frequency? Hey, listen, folks, it is not beyond the realm of possibility. Think about how magnets work. Think about when you have magnets that will come together, then you flip them over or whatever, and then it's the opposite. They actually travel further away from each other. There's resistance against that. Is that technology being used? I guess we'll never know, but I have to say that it sure is reasonable to think that, maybe that is a possibility. So you say, how are the calls reviewed? Well, they're going to use that stuff. Okay, how are the balls tracked? Well, they're tracked by some device. Maybe it's by just radar. I don't necessarily think it's just that. But then again, what do I know? Maybe it's just laser. Who knows? I mean, how much time does the review add to the game? Listen, they say, Major League Baseball says, MLB.com says, In 288 games with the ABS challenge system during spring training of 2025, there were an average of 4.1 challenges per game, and those challenges took an average of 13.8 seconds. Okay, well, 13.8 seconds, that's basically it added another minute thereabouts onto the game. We'll say about 14 seconds, just under 1 minute. All right, that's not the worst thing in the world. Are successful challenges retained? Yes, a team only loses its challenge if the umpire call is confirmed. Now, because challenges can be lost, it is incumbent upon players to be judicious about asking for a challenge so they're not basically wasting their team's challenge. Kind of like in the NFL, they have the red flag rule, right? So, I mean, look, so in that sense, the ABS challenge system adds strategy to the sport. But then again, now you got to worry about technology. And how was it received in spring training? Apparently, some people liked it, some people didn't. How long was it tested? Well, apparently, in the Independent Atlantic League since 2019. Challenge system was first used in the Florida State League in 2022. During the 23-24 AAA season, both challenge systems and full ABS were tested. By the end of 24, full ABS had been pushed aside in favor of the challenge system, which continues to be in use today. So, while the challenge system is in place, why the challenge system and not full ABS, automatic ball strikes? So minor league baseball testing revealed a clear preference among fans, players, managers, and other personnel for challenge system. The reason is, in so many words, is that the fans of baseball and people still desire a human element, as do I. So this is all MajorLeagueBaseball.com, MLB.com. In minor league games featuring full ABS, walks were more prevalent, causing games to drag on and countering the improvements in pace made by the pitch clock. So there is a fundamental issue right there. In minor league games featuring full automatic balls and strikes, walks were more prevalent. So what they're saying is, look, we want more strikeouts. Well, why don't they just increase the strike zone if that's what they're saying? Well, apparently they're doing that by keeping umpires in there anyway. And that's really what this is about. Also, the art of pitch framing, a craft that catchers have really studied, many cases mastered, would go away with full ABS. This is a change the players generally do not support. But they also support the use of partial ABS. The challenge system is seen as a way to get more of the most important calls correct without dramatically altering the sport overnight. It's a middle ground between full ABS and tradition. I don't believe that for 1 second. Not for 1 second. I just don't like it. And honestly, all this other nonsense about changing rules and doing this and doing that, they're getting further away from the game that is America's game, right? Apple pie, Chevrolet, remember those, right? I'm not promoting Chevrolet, but I'm just thinking baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. Remember that old commercial? I remember that commercial. Well, baseball is about as American as apple pie. And so what I don't really understand is why you have to change it. For the sake of what? Really? So an advertising can be carried on by this company? Well, this ABS provided by this company? Who gives a damn about that? I mean, really, the owners are putting the referees at risk, the players at risk, the fans at risk by having that 5G signal, in my opinion. And on top of it, I don't think it's good for the game. Go back to what baseball was before. It was just fine. They didn't have to tinker with it. It was fine like that for 150 years. No reason to screw with it today. That's going to do it. I'm not happy about this. And tell you what, folks, I see this as being an abomination. We'll see you in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.